Well, it's the big show. Nate. The Black Idea Guy podcast is a new business and culture platform created to serve as a compass with an ultimate goal of helping talented and urbanly influenced creatives get potentially disruptive, new ideas, thinking, and perspectives off the ground out and into the world. Acronymed as The Big Show, this is not an interview but an exchange, which we hope will leave all listeners with realized game, perspectives, inspiration, ideas, and insight that drive results. The Black Idea Guy podcast comes firsthand from a former athlete turned innovator, a multi-potentialite creative and entrepreneurial marketing mastermind, a Black Idea Guy himself, Mick Allen Brown, and a range of dynamic guest features who are extremely gifted and talented within their own right. And so today, right, on another beautiful Sunday, I get to sit across from another Black Idea Guy, another mind, another passionate and ferocious action taker, an executor in many different ways. My homie, my brother, my fam, my brother Zaire Will, right? Z Will, Zaire Williams.
Zaire Williams.
Okay,
I love those descriptions of me.
The pleasantries.
I didn't know that's what I was. I'll take it.
Yo, man, you gotta accept, at some point you gotta just accept it, right? You gotta just accept that like you can't fight the current.
True.
You know, like sometimes we do that. Like I definitely do that, right? You wear the humble cloak.
Yeah.
But on this show, this ain't a humble space.
All right, I'm here for it.
This ain't what we do. Like we get to it. You know what I'm saying? This is like this literally like a phrase we say on the show is like, this is not a humble space.
Okay.
The Black Idea Guy podcast was not made to be humble territory.
All right.
Because it's so many other places where you could be humble.
I'm gonna have to take some of your aura for that.
Yo,
I don't think I do that naturally.
I think it's the energy. You'll get it.
All right.
You'll get it.
I'm here for it.
So the first thing we usually do on the show is we dap up. Right. It's customary.
Okay.
You know, got to give you some of that love. Lemongrass with the aloe extract. Shout out to that, man. You know, we're trying to really be the hip hop hand sanitizer for the culture.
That's
right?
Crazy.
Yo, hey man, it's the least we could do, right? Yeah. There's a lot of like messy, sticky, nasty smelling product out there on the market of solution, but here we go.
Cool.
Yo, welcome, bro.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I know we were trying to make this happen for a while. And then
you're a busy guy.
It falls into place.
You're a very busy dude.
I'm excited we got to make it happen.
I mean, the last couple of times we couldn't have made it. You did some exciting things though.
I've been around.
Yeah, around.
Yeah.
Around the world.
Yeah. Just recently.
So in those adventures, where did you go? Like,
so traveling for work or just like my most recent one?
I mean, well, let's start off with just your well-being, your personal pleasures. How about that? Like just where you went for your sanity and your peace of mind.
Yeah, so I like a couple of weeks ago went to London for the first time.
Amazing.
So my mother is a psychopath. She runs marathons for a living. So she ran a marathon in London. So like I forget, it's like big marathons across the world that she's running. So she did Germany, we traveled there. She did like New York, Boston, those are kind of like the big ones. Chicago, London, and then we're gonna go to Tokyo in April.
Yo, that's OD.
So like the family goes and do that. So we did that in London. My girl came out with me, and then my girl's Italian, like super Italian. So her family was out in Italy, and we stayed there for like a week too. So it was like 16 days, Europe, like completely disconnected. And we'll go into all that too, like the perfect timing for that trip. And kind of what that looked like for me. But yeah, man, that was like the first real vacation I had since like college. So like 5 years.
So I think, all right, so we're going to really be able to unravel a lot of interesting and like introspective things that you've done, right? But like, I think people kind of need to understand who I'm sitting across from and like kind of how we've gotten into this nucleus and how we kind of became friends and like grew into our understanding of one another. It's important, right? Because like a lot of times my biggest thing with having this kind of platform is that like I pride myself on bringing on people that are like sharp, but all these people are my friends.
Yeah.
Right. So like, and people be wondering like, yo, Mick, like how do you know this guy? Or like, why do you bring this guy? I'm like, yo, I myself have some really sharp people around me. And I think like before I were to go get outsiders to bring them on the platform, it's like, yo, I would tell you, my homies is doing it. Like they're doing big shit, you know? So from in that light, you're an entrepreneur.
I am.
You're an entrepreneur and you stand firmly into those shoes.
I do.
I myself, identify as an entrepreneur as well. And I think when we first linked up, it's kind of was like just on a digital like appreciation.
Yeah.
From afar.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that. How did that first link up happen?
So funny enough, shout out to LaTroy Watson, PR extraordinaire. We worked on the social scene a while back, this show. And I remember at the same time, I used to just, during my downtimes from editing this work, I used to be looking on social media and like when you have 1 to 2 degrees of separation from someone, you start seeing certain things that other people are doing. Mm-hmm. So I think you were working and you had a network during this time. You had like a platform that I forgot. It was like you had your own video service. It was like a video network a while back.
Yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about?
I don't think it was mine though. I was like partnered with someone that was.
You might have been partnered with them.
Yeah.
But I knew, but like someone had put it on my radar. They were like, "Yo, you were the guy to talk to."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "All right, cool. This is his."
Yeah. That's when. Yeah, that's when my pops had the studio. Well, he just still has the studio, but it was on Valley Road. I think I was doing some things there.
Yep.
That's how we first connected.
And So I knew, and I think you might have like sent me a message like, yo, like showing appreciation for the show. You're like, yo, if you're looking for like, I think y'all were also looking for like content. Y'all were looking for content.
That's what it was.
So we had spoken. I was like, yo, this is dope. I might have mentioned it to you, LaTroy. I don't know, but that's how we linked. And then you got on your radar, and then you had an event. Yep. I showed up to the event. LaTroy, you were there too, in Clifton. You were at the event.
Yep,
that was his event.
In Valley Road. Yeah.
So then from that day on, it was just like, all right, cool. The barrier, the wall had been broken down. And then I also just sort of seen your appreciation for branding.
Okay.
Right. And then I was like, oh, I really can fuck with this dude. Like I really like, okay, because he gets it. You get the nuances of what makes things that we appreciate. Right. So from that, I think that's how we first got into it. It was just one from the content world, right? Coming from a content development, sort of like trying to be producing work.
Yep.
Then it was trying to align from the project, the social scene, trying to integrate it into your network and the platform.
Yeah.
And from there, it was just like,
then it's just like networking. And like, all right, we know we're on the same label.
And now from time to time, I'm always peeking over the fence to see what Zaire's doing.
You got to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I see what's going on,
Ways.
So yo, bro, and I want to say this, right? Like I think it's important to have guys that's just like in their pursuit, because that motivation, right? Like people may not realize it, but like, yo, I'm motivated by some of the things I see you do, right? My friends do, like, yo, bro, everybody's doing. And like you never should stop, because the day you stop, you limit my motivation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you got to keep going in what you're doing. So, and today we're gonna talk about some of the new things you got going on.
Yep.
Right. And people, I'm here to learn, because you're into spaces that I don't really know much about.
Okay.
Right. I want to, right? The nature of my background, I should, but I just don't.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that's something that our audience could learn in terms of like the sports betting, right? The sports, like, and even like the legal aspect of it, right? It used to be something that was frowned upon, gambling, but now it's so widely and open. So
it makes a lot of money. That's why.
Hey, listen.
If you're making money, they'll make it. They'll make it work. They make it fit in.
So your entrepreneurial climb, right?
Yeah.
Well, first, like you come from an entrepreneurial family.
Yes.
That's important to know.
Yeah. So my pops. Really, my pops was like started on his own with like the space. Actually, he started as a photographer.
Okay.
Mom and pops, I think, big part of like my story, like had me in high school, senior year of high school, right? So they was young, figuring it out. Mm-hmm. I got 2 younger brothers, family all the same. My pops kind of tried to do the photography route, and opened up a studio. So he was doing that. He always kind of had the idea. He was like, we sit around and like watch Shark Tank together, right? He'd always come up with ideas, and say he wants to do this stuff, all that. So it was always kind of in the family and the blood. But it's weird because he had that, but he didn't really like grow us to be that way, right? So again, because I think he had me so young, he was pushing me and my brothers, the sports, scholarship, good job. I did all this, so you can do all that, right? That's kind of his mindset. Whereas on the day-to-day, he's kind of talking to me entrepreneurial. It didn't really link up. So, so we a little bit about myself. So went to college, played ball in college, did that, listened to him, it all worked, went to the private school in high school, right? Because that was like the move to go into college, get to the right school, study civil engineering. Thought that was going to be it. I was going to make my money here. I'm going to do the New York City thing. It's kind of like the finance bro, but engineering.
Right.
Hated it. Intern, hated it. Then just try to figure out what the hell I wanted to do. Slowly, I don't even know. I'm trying to like backtrack here. That's why I like this podcast. Like this is like how often do you really sit back and like think about your own journey?
You got that's what we here to
that
do.
Shit never happens. Yeah. So graduated, said I didn't want to do that. Was doing like social media stuff. So that's when like, content creation was like, but Gary Vee was big.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say bigger. That's like, I feel like when
he was like started. The only.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I would put it.
Right.
Watching mad Gary Vee stuff, try to do content, tried to work at VaynerMedia, got my got my interview, just my resume wasn't there, but I knew that's the space I wanted to get into.
Right.
And then like, looking back at it now, all the entrepreneurial shit that my pops was telling me growing up, I was like, I'm just gonna do it myself. So I started the digital marketing agency, whatever.
And that digital marketing agency, because it's important that I put the identifiers on the different things in your timeline, right?
Yeah.
So we have exclusive media, we have exclusive on this on our board.
Yep.
So that was the coming forth of your foot into digital marketing.
Yeah. So that was it. That's was and still is my baby, right? Exclusive. I actually started that with my whole idea, and it's gonna happen. It just everything hasn't pieced together yet.
It's coming.
Yeah. It's like personal branding, right? And that's kind of how it started. Everyone, you are a great example of it, right? They're gonna need to either re-represent themselves or represent their current selves on social media somehow. Some people are not good at doing that. Some people don't have the time to do that.
Right.
Someone's gonna need to do that for them. That's where I saw exclusive. So that's kind of where I started. I was like, I'm gonna find these dope people. I'm gonna run their brands. I'm gonna have an agency. I'm gonna have a talent agency of just personalities. Like the everyday person is gonna have someone that's gonna craft their personality on social, and that's gonna be me.
Right.
That did not pay.
Of course. It never does.
Individuals are not paying.
Right.
Individuals are not paying.
Right. Talk about it. Talk about it.
Found that out right away. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm gonna just take this whole same concept and put it to brands, and then that's kind of how exclusive, and then
See, the thing about it is like individuals, yes, it wouldn't pay, but when you're dealing with individuals that are corporations within themselves, that pays.
That's a different type of individual.
Totally different type of individual.
Yeah. I ain't get there.
Right. So it's about really just trying to get to the right type of clientele.
Yeah. But I also think it's harder, the ROI is harder for that individual than a business, I think. And I think that's what you're selling. So even if you are a corporation, like you personally, like I think if you were to give me X amount of bread to run your brand, you're not going to see that as quick as the brand that's paying me, because I'm like, all right, this is the product I got to sell. You can see these numbers. This is what you care about, metrics, and that's kind of what was paying me.
Mm-hmm.
So I shifted the passion a little bit to what the dollars were telling me.
So I think that's something worth kind of spending some time on, right? Because cool. I had a lot of seasoned entrepreneurs that I've tried to like glean information from or like ask for guidance and mentorship. They always tell me like, early on they were telling me, yo, follow the money.
Yeah.
And I think like I myself used to also watch some of these shows or watch content or just try to like be a student of entrepreneurship, and people like, if you can find something that you love, the money will follow.
Yeah.
So I got one arm, people like, yo, follow the money. And then they're like, yo, find something you love.
Yeah.
So early on, I was so confused because I'm like, damn, I'm trying to find something I love, but it ain't paying.
Yeah.
But over here, that is paying, where the money is, I'm not fucking with that.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like, how did you in your process be able to like define what you like to do and cross and bridge that with where it was paying?
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to ask you that too, because I want to see your perspective. So a lot of this for me, and this is why I wanted to come on, I got a lot of stuff that I just need to hear.
Yeah.
I think we're similar, but we're also different. So I want to hear your point of view. So for me, I have people in my network that are the same. I have people that are super passionate.
Yeah.
I know one in particular, and I talk to him all the time. Like, cool, your passion's cool, but like you could maybe make more bread off of this.
Right.
And I know people who do the opposite. So to answer your question, though, I think one is packaged in the other. I think you find the passion first, like the area, right? And then once you find that area, you make the decisions that's gonna get you the money.
I agree.
So for me, I was like, yo, I know I want to do this branding. This is what I'm passionate about. Once I was in that, I could have kept banging my head on like, all right, word, like I'm passionate about helping people and like,
Right.
I want to do that, but that wasn't making me money. I think once you get into that space and you get the bread, then you can come back and do all that shit that you're passionate about, right? Like that shit comes back around.
That's it.
Cause like, yeah, because right now, like I'm again, my boy specific. I don't want to drop his name because, but he's in something he's really passionate about, and in that little circle, there's definitely ways he could be smarter about chasing the money now, and he just staying in the passion. But I mean, he's happy for it. He's happy with what he's doing. I respect him for it. But I think, you know, if there's money to be made, you want to kind of get that now.
Only thing about it is your time will tell you all you need to know. True. Like time and failure will humble you. Yep. Right. Yep. Like, and granted, we never want to think of the ideas that we bring forth as failures. Yeah. But it's just like, if you're not, one of my good friends, he always tells me you got to measure. You got to measure what you're doing. Measurement will tell you all you need to know. If you can gauge and see, if you set out to have goals and you want to achieve these goals by certain amounts of time, if you're not measuring or tracking your progress, you're not going to know if it's working or it's not working. Yeah. A lot of times people start doing business ideas or ventures or taking startups to from 0 to 1. Yeah. But they're not really measuring how you're scratching off some of these things on your to-dos, or if you're even scratching off things on your to-dos, you're just literally doing.
Just doing. Yeah.
Just doing.
I feel that.
So you feel like your busyness is getting you into a place of progress, but you're literally just sweating in place. Yeah. You know, and that's one thing that in my journey, I looked like, I would take on these tall tasks, bro. I would do these projects that were involving so many moving parts, and I'd be like this engine in between. I was trying to really pursue it, but I would look at the end of it and I'd be like, damn, yeah, I made all these people feel so good about what I had done and brought them into the fold. But so, what did I really get from this, right? Me either lashing out my own capital to make this happen, or me either having to go to someone that now I'm indebted to and I owe. Yeah. But all these people over here, they could speak positively about me. They could glorify something I had done. But like, what did it really do to impact me in order to get this off the ground and be able to impact these people even more? Yeah. And I was measuring the first time around, I wasn't measuring properly. Second time I measured and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to change this up. I can't do this again. Yep. Because the time that I spent, the year that I spent doing this, I'm like, damn, what else? You start thinking like, what else could you have been doing? Yeah. Right. What are some other things that I could have been doing at this time that could have yielded me different results or financial, fluency in different ways? Yeah. So in that breath, when I started thinking about it, I'm like, all right, so to answer the question,
on your end,
finding that balance right between the passion and the profit, I always tried to go as like broad as possible into a direction, right? So let's say like when I was starting out, I wanted to be not to say I wanted to, I was producing content, and I would look and try to mimic the content that was getting the top dollar and try to recreate that, but weave it into my messages, like weave my messages into that. And I would say, okay, at the end of this project, I'm going to sell this to that company over there because they're paying the kind of bread. Yep. Not realizing that I didn't have the manpower to even produce something that would garner their attention. Yeah. Right. So I didn't have the manpower to garner their attention. I didn't have the means of production. I didn't have the tools. Right. Not only the manpower, the equipment, the access, and I was naive. I was delusional. Yeah. Very delusional. But the idea in my mind was flawless. Yeah. Right? Because you couldn't tell me. Also, too, environment helped me to realize a lot, too, because a lot of times people are calling us the greatest ever, right? From in an environment that they haven't seen what we've seen. Right. Right. So people don't understand when I tell them, like, yo, job not done. Like I ain't did nothing yet. Like what I've done, it's great. It's cool. It's phenomenal. But you haven't seen what I've seen. Yeah. So I think when it came to passion and chasing profit and chasing passions was like, okay, I had to really sadly isolate myself into a place to where I was my biggest critic and my biggest supporter, right?
Okay.
I had to be that because the profit aspect was knowing, yo, I got to sell this to a big fish. I have to get this into the reaches of someone that has positioning to pull me up out of this small ocean that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
But then the passion side of it is like, yo, like if I can be able to galvanize my locals, right? If I can get people behind me with this, I can stick with this long enough and they hopefully will push this message out to enough people that maybe this passion can just garner dollars from a local smaller community.
Got you. Are you still on that? Like, do you still?
I do.
Like
I want to do a season 3. I want to do a season 3, but I can't do it in the immediate right now.
With that same business model, like plan of like, yo, I got to put this content out to them.
I'm in a totally different position now, right? I got connections. I have direct connections, direct access to exactly who I want to get to. And people that I have access to now are actually asking me, hey, like, yo, I know you were doing some things back in the day. I was watching you, didn't really know what was going on, but like now that I have sort of established myself into a different light, like I've done things. The one thing that I definitely can say that helped me to learn the difference between the passion and the profit was like getting into the formal corporate advertising structure.
Yeah.
Right? Like going and being a part of like organizations like the One Club for Creativity.
Yeah.
It helped me to really polish and refine.
Why?
Yo, one, like credentials is important.
Okay.
Right? Like I needed the validation.
Yeah.
I needed the backing to be able to tell someone like, yo, like, do you know who I am? I need that energy, yo. And many times as independent creatives, we don't got no credential. We don't got nothing that creates an authority.
Yeah.
Right? We're trying to do it. We're trying to get out the basement, get out the mud, but can't nobody in the industry validate us. Mm-hmm. And of course, forget your validation. Nah, validation, a cosign is important.
Yeah.
Very much important. A cosign can streamline your journey. It can really speed up the process in which you want to get from A to B.
Yeah.
So going into those structures, I was able to kind of see how these things internally were working from a corporate level.
Yeah.
But I knew.
Is that your first time doing that?
Yeah. So the One Club for Creativity, well, granted, give and take, my first gig out of college was at one of the biggest media companies in the world. Right. Uh-huh. So I got that, like I'll drop iHeartMedia. Uh-huh. Gave me a platform. They gave me positioning. And I was able to get my foot into the door to see how that was working, right? Working with the Charlemagnes, the DJ Envies, Angela Yee's of the world. Yeah, I was in that fold, but I also realized that these corporate entities are very antiquated in their processes. They're not about innovation as you would think, right? So eventually, there was ties severed, but after that, I got the positioning to get on tour. I was able to tour with a Grammy Award winning artist, and I was on the road, and I really felt a part of something larger than me. Uh-huh. In that light, I started to get into my bag where I'm like, oh, okay, I can help to grow this talent's brand because I was managing the opening act for the headline, mm-hmm. and I was able to position his brand, give him social media wise, like interaction, the show fan engagement, meet and greets kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That whole aspect allowed me to see like, okay, I can get passionate about this. Mm-hmm. I can get passionate about brand development of a talent, right? Building like intrigue in an audience around this.
Yeah. Got
that going. Once we got off the road, I'm like, okay, now what am I doing for me?
Yeah.
Right. What am I not putting out into the world, and like what messages do I want to put out there? My social media use is very interesting because I'm on it, but I'm not really on it. Right.
You don't think you're on it?
I don't think I'm really on it like
really?
that, bro. I'm not really on it.
That's something I want to talk about on this pod too.
For sure.
I'm not. I know I'm not on it.
You're not on it.
And I'm cool with that. So I wanted to get your take on being on it because I feel like you are on it. And you do. And like you take a bold stance in it, right? Where it's like, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like this is like, it looks like this is your approach, right? Like you claim a lot of stuff and you're repetitive, and it's like, yeah, like I'm a
Oh no,
make it stick now because like you're seeing it and I'm doing it and that's what it is. And I get it from like a marketing branding perspective.
Yeah.
So to hear you say you don't think you're on it, I'm like,
here's why I say I don't think I'm on it.
okay.
Because it's real time, but it's also when I choose to give it. Right?
Okay.
It's like it's real time, but it's like a lot of times is social media for me. Instagram is my main platform. I be on Twitter too.
Okay.
You know, like Twitter, I just literally talk shit.
Okay.
I just post to Instagram my story.
Got you.
Right. I just get on Twitter, post a tweet, talk some shit, right, and get on Instagram. But for me, like, I'm my biggest fan. I have to be.
Yeah.
And I think we not even say like I think people in general that are going against the machine, you have to be your biggest supporter. You have to, yo, and you can't be deterred by the opinions of outsiders looking on that might be enamored or disgusted by what you're doing. You can't be fazed by that. You have to have like the thickest skin. So my uses on social media, particularly Instagram, and what people see me doing, one, it's constantly reinventing self. I change my bio every day. Every single day, multiple times. It's not for you. It's not for you. It's not for anybody. It's for me.
Yeah.
Right? I do this because I am you're getting who I want you to see in that moment. And however I'm feeling, if these 150 characters is going to define me, then when you come to this page, you see the name, you come to this page, this is what I want you to internalize over whatever you might see in the story, on my feed. This is what you're getting. Cool. So me being on social media, it's all really and truly, it's all promotion, right? But I weave promotion and lifestyle into it in a way that I feel is unique and is very authentic to me. Cool. And there's also too, like, I think my perspective is shaped by my upbringing, right? I'm groomed in a way that a lot of people don't know. Like I'm not American, right? Like I'm African. I'm Liberian. I was born in Africa, and a lot of things that I will give my take on social media, post about, share about, it comes from a place of balancing two different worlds, right? Like the other day, so my parents live in Liberia, right?
I didn't know that.
So yeah, my parents live in Africa, and they come for a few months out the year just to like gather things, do the things and go back to Liberia. So in there's a picture of Martin Luther King in my old living room, and I'm there like helping to move some boxes or whatever. And it doesn't look like they're trying to pack this picture of Martin Luther King to take back to the crib in Africa. And I'm like, oh, you're not gonna bring that? He's like, nah, people in Liberia don't know who Martin Luther King is. And I'm like, wow. It's interesting that people need to understand that I come from a place that they don't know who Kim Kardashian is. They don't know who Kanye West is. They're not worried about the things that I'm worried about here. So when people ask me my take on things and it's maybe a little bit left of center or radical, it's because I have to give a fuck about certain shit while I'm here, but also too when I'm immersed into another culture that doesn't give a fuck about what I give a fuck about while I'm here, I have to also be empathetic to this too. Yeah. So I sit spot in the middle of two completely different cultures, and I think I maneuver as just like an open-minded being. So what I give off on social media is just super open-minded. And I think the best way to retain my energy is just, hyper focus on what you want to give to the world and let people appreciate that. Yeah. Right. Also, don't be closed-minded to how other people use this same mechanism.
I agree with that.
Right. Like let them do what they do. Yeah. But, you tap into it, subscribe to it if you choose. If not, fuck it, whatever, keep going.
I get you.
So me being on social media but not on social media, it's literally I'm there to reach out to the right people, because one of my biggest skills on social media is I know who to contact. I know the right people. Like, I don't be on there shucking and jiving, wheeling and dealing, square dance. I don't be doing none of that. Yeah. But I know who there is to know, and I could be able to like rewire the people that you think I need to contact if I'm trying to get this across or build this alignment. Yep. Versus the person that is the one that's making it happen.
Yeah, I hear you.
I know exactly who to go to. So a lot of times, I'm on there to network, leverage contacts, like lead with value, right? Offer services, talk some shit and show some work, bro. That's it, man. So I'm on it, but I'm not really on it.
I got you.
That's what I mean by that.
You're on it more than me.
I'm definitely on it more than you. Yeah. But the thing is, though, I appreciate your uses of social media too, because one thing that I think you do well is that I sort of build this void with is your personal, like your family, like you share those moments.
Yeah.
Whereas I may over index on business kind of things, or just like not to say braggadocious, but it's just attitude and just like, yo, like this what I'm on, right?
But I think that's a really good reflection of like what we actually are on. That goes to, again, my point in wanting to be on here, right, and talk about it. I think that's a good segue into that, right? Like so backtrack. So I hit you. I know we were talking about this for a while.
Wow.
Right.
This is long overdue, bro.
Yeah.
I gotta know this.
And then I hit you like, yo, now's like the time for me to be on, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some like this shit I want to talk about. And I want to get your feedback on and like all that. So right now, like I'm working the sports betting. We'll get into that, like exactly what
for
I
sure,
do there, the X's and O's, like the business. I think that's great insight for anyone else who's watching. Like it's a market people want to be in. But so I had the exclusive agency, was doing that, got some clients there, sports betting stuff blew up. So I was really into that, which is like, it's a whole nother business I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had this time where it's like over the summer, I was like, you know what? I got a little bit more time. So I'm like, it was like everything was remote. I was working on a project in Boston, and someone that was on a project was like, yo, actually just, a recruiter reached out to me. I was doing some digital marketing work. And he was like, yo, like you can do it remotely. He's like, yo, it's like a full 9 to 5, but it's like easy. Like you can do this. Like the way you work is different from the way 9 to 5 people work.
Right.
All right, cool. I got some time.
Right.
So I started to apply for jobs. 9 to 5 shit that was remote or like hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
And I landed a gig. So I landed a gig at what's it called? A gig in the city. I was the digital marketing specialist for, I forget even what they did now. How the hell am I drawing a blank? It's called Rapid Ratings. Oh, it's financial health. So basically, it's like the credit score for businesses, right? They work with big businesses, big tech, all that stuff to kind of give that rating. So boom, went in there, was doing that, maxed out, bro. When I say like, I've always, and you as an entrepreneur, it's always like, yo, I could probably be doing more. I could probably be doing more. I hit that point where I was doing the most.
Right.
Right. And I had, for the first time in my life, I broke. Right. And this never happened to me before.
So you were revving to the max. You couldn't I
was juggling that. I was traveling for the sports betting. Everyone knew kind of what I was on and what I was doing. Everyone was open with because I was still getting my work done. But my shorty had just moved in with me, right? So she moved in with me in February. Mm-hmm. We got a dog together. So like that part of my life was one thing. And then I had my exclusive clients. I had the team on there. I had bet tenders, sports betting shit that was on it. And then I had this Rapid Ratings, bro. And I was coming home from a flight I was in Pittsburgh for bet tenders. Flight that night got delayed, right? Always happens, whatever. More time for me to do work on the airport, nothing. Got delayed, got there, whatever. We got to Newark. I was going to JFK for some reason too. So got to JFK, was on the runway for mad long. I'm like, all right, whatever, it's cool. I'm just gonna chill, have my music on playing. Uber took forever to come. I'm like, all right, whatever, it's cool. Coming back, I live in Harrison by the Red Bull Stadium. Mm-hmm. They had just let out a game. So the Uber couldn't drop me off at my crib. He was like, yo, you gotta
everything just crumbling.
Yeah, you gotta get out here. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna get out here. Had to start to walk. Was like, all right, this is some Five Guys right up here. I'm about to go hit this Five Guys. Five Guys had just closed when I was gonna get there, right? So I'm like, damn, I'm not trying to eat. I'm like, you know what? I'm brushing it all off because there ain't nothing, right? Like, shit happens.
Right.
Get to my door. My fucking key isn't working from my door. Gotta go to the front. Like, boom, boom, boom. Everything's happening, right?
Just stacking up.
Boom, boom, boom. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, in the moment, I ain't really thinking about it. I get into my crib, like this is late now, and I try to get into bed. Something else happened while I got into the crib. I think something with my girl, probably we were beefing. Get into bed, bro, and I couldn't sleep. Like, my mind was just racing, like, this is what I could be doing wrong. Like, what's wrong was like my mind was just starting to like rev up a little bit.
Yeah.
And bro, like, I want to say I blacked out because I know what happened, but something in my brain literally, like, I feel like broke to the point where, like, I couldn't handle, like, I couldn't breathe. Like, my breathing was really bad. Like, and I've never had this. So looking back on it now, I've talked to people since it happened, and they like, maybe it was anxiety, it was whatever, but whatever it was that happened. I'm talking, I had to call my mom's. She talked me through, like, she literally talked me off the edge. I'm like in the fetal position, sweating, crying, like, what the hell just happened to me? Broke. And my mom's like, yo, you gotta, like, she's an attorney. She's like, I've had this before. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Like, we can't really explain it. Like, we don't really have those conversations.
Yeah.
But she was like, I know what this is. You got to pull back on something. Like, I don't know what it is. You got to reflect on what's going on. Cause like, you could be making all this money and doing all this, like, living, like, growing up, I was like, yo, like, that's the life when you could get to fly to work and come back and do this. And, you know, like, that's what I wanted to do. Not really knowing what that meant.
Yeah.
But I broke, bro. And I think that at that point, that was the first time where we're talking about right now, we're having this conversation where you step back, or I had to step back and like, yo, like, what am I really doing this for? What is happening right now? Yeah. Is this worth it? Right? Is my mental there? So that shit happened, bro. And that shit lasted for like a week. The next day, so we had a MetLife event the next day, the sports betting shit. So we were at Jets. We were building up for this. So I was like, I can't miss this. I woke up the next day. My mom was like, yo, you can't go to that. I'm like, nah, like, this is what I'm here for. I go. I'm talking, like, I was having conversations with people and felt myself about to break down crying the next day after. And I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I was freaking out, bro.
Was it like, so in that, could it have been overwhelmed with, I mean, here's the thing. You could look at it two ways, right? You could have looked at that as low key suffering from success.
Okay.
Right? Because you could look at it as if you're overwhelmed with just like these new, like, you're overtaken by this, and you're only one person. Mm-hmm. But you got to also know the path that we take as entrepreneurs. It's bro, you don't know when you're really maxing yourself out. You don't know. You can always be doing more. If you're building a brand, there's always something that can be done. Mm-hmm. Always. The work never stops if you're building a brand. So I think, like, you just really caught up. What caught up to you was, like, you having the realization of, okay, these things require this of me, right? And I have to be this available for these things. But now you have your personal life that you have to take into account. Yep. You got a shorty, you got a dog, you got a crib, whatever. Yep. And it requires energy. It all requires energy. So to take it, so to turn the mirror on me, I'm very, very, I protect my peace, bro. It's important to do that. In that scenario, you probably were not as prioritizing of protecting your peace, creating certain guidelines, certain boundaries that you needed. So it all just came to you because now you're probably getting emails from this person, calls from this person, shorty and the dog need you here, family needs you here, brother, mom. And like, yo, you want to literally take off a limb and give it here, take off a limb and give it here, but you can't do that, bro. It's unhealthy to do that.
Right.
So what you were facing was just it all coming, and like these small, like Five Guys not being open, your key not working. It was small shit.
Yeah. That piled up though. Yeah.
It piled up. But then you literally hit, it started to implode. It was just like, yo.
Yeah.
Nah. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. And you hit that wall.
You hit the wall.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the first time I really hit that wall to that extent, which a part of me, I'm gonna be honest with you. So, and this is what I told this again, this is all in reflection. Like now, that's why I took the gig, the 9 to 5. Cause I was like, you know what? Like, how far can I take myself? Right. So it's like, I put myself in that situation willingly. Like, I kind of knew that I was gonna get there. And when I got there, it just kind of like shook me a little bit. I ain't gonna lie.
But the thing about it is, so, all right, I think, being privileged enough to be successful at entrepreneurship and being someone that can figure out entrepreneurship, I don't shun having a 9 to 5 as people would think, right? Because it's hard to wake up every day and just think through things. Like, you have to know the ins and outs of everything as an entrepreneur. Sure. You are the one, like, people that have 9 to 5s don't have to worry about their check being late.
Right.
Because they know it's going to be there. The
Right.
person that sits at the top is sweating.
Right.
To make sure that check is there
Yeah,
for that employee. In entrepreneurship, we're the person that sit at the top.
Yeah.
When you can just exhale, you got this one task you got to go do at this person's organization.
Sure.
It's much more alleviating. And at the end of 2 weeks, where my money?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm not knocking it at all. I thought it was a good experience. Yeah, but so what I wanted to, so circling back, right? So where was I?
The burnout.
Burnout hit, right? I made some moves since then, right? So I decided I got rid of that 9 to 5. Just kind of, I wasn't everything I wanted anyway. I didn't really need it, so it was kind of extra. Got rid of that. But my conversation to you, and my question to you, right, is you talking about protecting your peace.
Absolutely. Very important.
Super important, right? But I think the narrative that goes out for entrepreneurs and people in general is not necessarily to max out, but like if you're going to reach a certain level of success, right? Because you said, what was your quote? Something about success. When you first
suffering from success. Yeah.
Right. I think that's perfect. Mm-hmm. Like, do you want to suffer for that success? And what does that mean? Right. So, and this all ties back to why I said it was a good segue, right? Because you mentioned my social, how I use social, and you know, I didn't know that about your family, but it makes that your family was their parents. Do you have any other siblings or anything live here?
Yeah. I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest sibling of 4. I'm the youngest of 4.
Okay, and are they all here?
They're all here.
Okay,
all my brothers and sisters. Yeah.
All right, cool. How old are they?
Oldest sister is 38.
Okay. Oh, all right. So a little bit older.
Yeah, a little bit older. I'm 29.
Yeah. Cool. So what I was thinking and kind of what I'm trying, like, this is all a new process, right? And this is all conversation trying to figure out with you. Is like, my family is a big part of what I'm doing. Right?
Of course.
That's all. That's why I got 2 younger brothers. Like I said, I got nieces and nephews, all that. Well, like not necessarily cousins that have children.
You carrying the torch.
Nephews. Yeah. That's where I really want to be by time.
For sure.
To be honest with you, right?
For sure.
Like, and I know in order to put time there, I gotta take away some time from the work, which I wasn't doing before, right? It was all work. The shorty now, me even with my family. Mm-hmm. I got to the point, bro, and you probably know this too, and it's fucked up now to even think about it. But like my brother had to schedule time to call me, bro, because like I was always working. He would call me, like my parents would be like, yo, I know when I call you just by your tone that you're either in a meeting, working on something, so I can't even have the conversation with you right there, right? And it's like, damn, like, especially growing up, and what I want to do is like, I'm trying to do this to give y'all opportunities and to do all this stuff, right? And if my middle brother is literally calling me to like, or I'm asking him to email me a time block, right? Because I'm crazy. I know you know the calendar is like, yo,
for sure.
I really can't talk to you for another 3 days. Like, and I'm not even trying to be an asshole, right? That shit to me now is like, I'm not willing to suffer that for the success.
Of course not.
Right. So like, that's kind of where slowly, I don't necessarily, and I'm trying to figure out now, I don't think that's going to necessarily affect the impact that I can have, but it's going to be very different. It's a very different journey now because it's like, I got to peel back, right? I got to do things now where it's just like, girl, family, that's one thing. But like now I really want to spend more time with my family because like I'll be pissed if God willing, something happened to me tomorrow and it's like, yeah, you mad successful here, but like you ain't even have the impact on your family like you said you was gonna have. Like that would have sucked, right? And I think the narrative now is like work, you're gonna be good, work, do that.
Right, grind. What is it? Grind in your 20s, chilling, building your 30s, chilling in your 40s.
And I respect that because that's how that's why I'm even in the position right now to even like talk about it, right? But I think there needs to be a narrative of like know your scenario, like where are you at, right? Like maybe you are in a point of view where you could put all your eggs and go all ham and you don't feel like you're sacrificing anything else. But if you are, like, it's probably not. Like, well, I guess it's up to you, but it's probably like for me, it's not worth it. Yeah. Right. It's not. I'm not trying to suffer that. Like success is cool, but I'm not trying to suffer that. Right?
I agree.
Crazy. Like I went and visited my grandmother like maybe like 2 months ago, month and a half ago. She lives down in Delaware, and we went and we drove down, me and my family, and they all got out the car and saw her, whatever, and they were like, yo, stay in the car. Like, I was gonna stay in the car. And my brother went out, and she was like, oh, where's Zaire? And he's like, oh, Zaire couldn't come. And my grandma was like, oh yeah, he never comes. He's always busy. I was like, damn.
That's heavy.
Yeah, I'm like, yo,
Heavy.
my grandma, and walked it off like it was nothing. Like, oh yeah, I wasn't really expecting him to be here anyway. And I'm like, damn, like, I don't want that.
That's heavy.
You know what I mean? I don't want that at all. Like, cool, I'm making bread. That's cool. But like, what's the bread?
Right.
That don't mean, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's so cliche, and you probably know this too in your journey. I feel like now you see stuff and you're like, all right, yeah, what's the money if you don't got the fame? Like, you know, you hear that when you're younger, you're like, nah, I'm still trying to get the money.
Right.
But now when you're
Right.
there, you're like, nah, but really, like, what
But
is
I
it?
think so. Like, for me, like, yo, like, for me, I place so much value on to get to the point that I am now is like I've had to. It sort of was traumatic for me to not have the resources that I wanted to do the things that I needed to do, because for me, especially over the last 4 years since since my parents have been able to, you know, migrate back home, like, it seems like I prioritize going to get after the bag, because in my most cliches of mine, not to say that I can solve issues or generational curses with just resources and fund and financials, but I just know that it'll be much easier to expand myself when the resources are there.
I agree.
Right? It's much easier to delegate tasks when you know that financially you can just pay for this person to come in and do this, get this done, so that you can take a step back and go and spend some time over here, right? Like, that's the thing. I think money is a tool to be able to buy yourself more time.
For sure.
Right.
I agree with that.
So in that same breath too, I think it's important too that you're having a realization, like, damn, like, I don't want to spend. I don't want to be looked at as someone that just is unavailable to the things that I care about the most.
Yeah. Right.
And it takes like you to have the wherewithal about that. You really know yourself. You're aware. You're alert.
Yeah.
At the red flags that may be starting to like poke their heads up.
Well, I mean, I think that shit. It forced itself on me, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think if I was good, if I ain't, that night never happened, I probably wouldn't be on this podcast, because I wouldn't have time to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And I'd probably still be pushing through it.
Yeah.
So I think the universe, God, forced that on me to have that. But I want to ask you, like, do you ever feel like you are giving something up right now when you're in this process and you're in your pursuit?
I do. I do a lot of times. And I think that some of the things that I should care about more, I don't place as much value on. And I think that, like, it's all sacrificial though. It's all sacrifice, right? That's one of the biggest things that we have to consider, right? We will have to sacrifice now to be able to gain, and then be able to hopefully come back and make up later, right? Like, that's how I look at it, right?
So that's what I'm saying. So that's your approach to it.
My approach is, I know right now in my Facebook DMs there's an African kid hitting me up asking me for money or asking me for something that he will no way, shape, or form be able to get himself. Right. And because I met that kid when I went to go visit my family, it's like, damn, I feel some sort of indebtedness to, like, at least give him an experience. Right. And even if it's just like, you know, sending him $100, sending him $200, whatever. It's just like, yo, like, damn, like, there are things that may never surface from my immediate circumstance for people to know about me. But, like, this is my tick. This is the chip on the shoulder. Right. This is the chip on the shoulder. So the sacrifice that I make is like, yo, I love, like I mentioned before off air, I love podcasting. I love podcasting. But to be able to galvanize and build an audience large enough to monetize a podcast, it takes a lot of time. I do have a passion for, you know, being an agent, being a marketer, right? Like, doing those things. But I also understand, okay, cool. Until you get the clientele that's paying the top dollar to be able to pour funds into other places, you got to go where money is. So since the beginning of this year, I've been learning financial markets. I've been learning investing, right? From not just from like a put your money here, hold, and like wait, but no, day trading, more or less. So as I've been getting into day trading, I've really learned, like, yo, I'm passionate about this shit. Like, I love analyzing charts and technicals and like really being a technical analyst. And I also immediately am able to see the results of being proficient in this because the money is crazy, right? So in doing that, I'm like, oh shit. Instead of going and trying to galvanize investors that don't understand my vision, that don't understand what I'm trying to go after, and then they're going to try to strip me of my creative, like pursuits in exchange for their dollar. Let me learn a new skill, which I love doing. Let me learn a new skill. Let me be proficient in trading, and let these markets be my investor, right? Like build a skill, learn how to day trade, accumulate enough, and then fund my own shit.
Yeah.
So that I don't gotta be spread so thin, and I don't have to feel like I'm doing things that's external of what I really and truly want to do.
Right.
And I can be able to compartmentalize my tasks and build the lifestyle that I want to live because it's all self-predicated on my activity, on what I want to do. So in that, man, like the sacrifices that I make are like, I look at sacrifice different, right? I don't look at, I do try to spend the time with family. I do try to be there, and I do understand when I'm like, okay, being a little bit standoffish, right?
Yeah.
But also too, as entrepreneurs, we got to know when we're being stubborn and we're just being enclosed. Because I could be very much enclosed to things that are important to me, right? I can be, I may not be as openly giving of my personal circumstance to people that I know would just want to know, am I good? And I'm just like, nah, I'm good. Everything's straight. Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm good. Don't ask me. No, I'm straight. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, yo, like, you know, like people want to be there. People, they really, really do.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're just like, nah, yo, it's me versus me. Like, if I don't figure it out, I'm gonna figure it out. Like,
yeah. And I don't even think it's intentional all the time. It's just where to be good at this, you got like, I think it's a byproduct of it because you're so sucked into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, you know, that's just kind of like, I wish more people knew that part of it. Like once they get into it, like that really is a sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
That I'm dealing with now. That, you know, I don't know you and your process. You and your process, kind of what you know. It sounds like you do have some sacrifices that I mean, obviously we all do. So I don't mean to discredit anyone's sacrifice.
For sure. I think people, I feel like everyone's sacrifices may look different, but you have to understand that there will not be a time in your growth curve where you can have it all. Right? Like you can think that, but you have to be able to it's a quote that I actually heard one time. It was like, the ones that's most in control are the ones who aren't afraid to let go. Right? Like the ones who are the most in control are the ones who are not afraid to like let something go and understand that, yo, it's going to be all right. I'm going to get through whatever this is. Right. Yeah. But I think it's just like our tenacity. We're just tenacious beings, right? Because we come from sports culture, right? Kobe, right? Mamba mentality.
Yeah.
So we carry that over into business, and like, you know, personally, it's all I really know because one, we're literally building our parachute on the way down. So we don't got time to like I hate when people call me or like people think to hit me up and they'd be like, yo, like, you know, like, yo, I hate to call you and make it seem like I'm bothering you. I'm like, yo, bro, like, yo, you're not bothering me, yo. Just ask you a question or like, sis, like, whatever, like, you know, talk to me, like, whatever the case may be. It's like, you don't got to feel like you're interrupting my beat and my rhythm because from the outside looking in, when you tap into my bubble, it just looks like I'm always in pursuit. I'm always trying to get to it. People got to also understand, and this is something to give yourself credit to, like, yo, you've developed a love for the world that you created for yourself. Like, you love it. You wouldn't do this shit if you wouldn't love it.
Yeah, for sure.
You wouldn't take on multiple projects if you didn't love the idea of doing it. Like, I love business shit. Like, I love talking about business. I love having ideas. I love being able to show people that I could tell you something on this day, and by this day it's done.
Yeah.
Period. Right?
Yeah.
And I love how over time people start to identify that this is the caliber of person that you are. Period. It's like, oh, that nigga Meg say he's gonna do, yo, that shit is done, bro.
Yeah.
Period. You know, because over time, the more you don't follow through, or the more you allow that small room for people to guess, they will then create that narrative for you. And I never want people to create my narrative for me. So when it comes from, you know, from sacrificing, like, yeah, I sacrifice. And I also understand that we all have different lives, but it's just important to know that, yo, we're going to get to, eventually you're going to be the person that you see in the back of your mind, right? You're en route to being that person. Everything that you want to happen is going to be on how you create a system. It's all going to be systematizing.
Right.
Right.
And that system could be different.
It could be different. It don't got to be the same as how the person that you might idolize built their system, or the person that might be a mentor built their system.
And exactly. I wish there were more people who are like us, entrepreneurs, that get to it, that are from where we're from, that whose system and process includes more of that family balance. I feel like the people you hear of, and I think that's just a byproduct of they were willing to sacrifice that stuff. That's why you're hearing about it, right?
Yeah.
As far as like, that's where the success stories are. But I wish more of, and maybe this is something that like is a project for me to kind of like, how do you get that narrative out more for the highly successful music executive or entrepreneur who making a ton of bread, making all these moves, but has that balance well and doesn't feel like, you know, they're necessarily sacrificing all of that family time.
I mean, you got to bring your family on the PJ.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy.
You know, you bring your family, and that's the thing. So, you know, when you see, you'll watch some vlogs or blogs or whoever from like Grant Cardone, right? Grant Cardone talks about all the time, you know, like he bought a jet, he bought this plane, and he flies private because you know he could bring his family with him, you know. So it's different ways of really just kind of, and I'm not saying that that's the most practical way of everyone to do it, because everyone may not have those means, right? Cool. Yeah. But I feel like it's small things, yo. And these are the things that I'm realizing, damn, as I think about it now, it's like people genuinely just want to be in the presence of me in work environments. Like, even like we say with women, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, women want to come and just be around in the office when I'm working. I'm like, nah, like, yo, I'm working. Yeah. Why you want to be here? Because they know I'm busy. But now, see, women crazy, bro. Women crazy because women will, like they know I'm busy. So they're like, all right, cool. Light bulb goes off. If I'm at the office, I can be around him and he's busy and he could do what he do. I'm not bothering him, but I just want to be around. But personally, I may overlook those small things, right? And even when it comes to family will want me to tell them about certain breakthroughs or certain successes, but I may not see it as big of a thing that they may see. It's like, oh, this regular for me, like whatever it is. You know, this person, this thing happened, but why didn't you tell us? You know, I'm like, oh, I'm telling you now. Yeah. You know, but like, I think we just really need to just like at a human level, we vibrate very high, right? We vibrate extremely high, and like we're doing things that are not normal. As normal as we have created them to be, they're not normal, bro. Yeah. Like, bro, I have a hand sanitizer company. Yeah. It's nuts, right? It's actually it's actually insane for people when people react to it, to me, I'm like, word. But I can understand. I have to now get to the point where I understand when people are like, yo, you did that. I'm like, word, yeah. You know, so I think, again, this ain't a humble space, right? This isn't a humble space. And the more we start to realize that the things that we're doing are intriguing to people and celebrating those things where people want to celebrate us with them is important when it comes down to family, friends, you know. Like, I'm going to my high school class reunion.
Oh, you're going now?
I'm going to go.
Okay.
I'm going to go. Yo, bro, I wasn't going to go. Like, and it wasn't because I despised the whole, like, idea of it. It was just like, yo, I'm just not on that no more. Like, but I realized too, like, yo, later down the line, when the money is not even in the equation, when we have no worries, it's gonna be these small things like, yo,
right?
Well, were you at that wedding?
Right?
Were you at this bar mitzvah? Were you at my high school class reunion? And like in the immediate, while we're still young, we got the energy. We like, nah, that shit. I'm not worried about that. But it's later down the line that we're gonna look back and realize that we missed out on life, bro. You can't get these things back. You can't replan it. You know, and I feel you so much on that, because I don't want to be the person that's trying to play catch up when I'm so later in my life, in my process, my experience.
And I feel like you hear that stuff now too, and not to belittle the point, we could, I don't know, wrap this up here. One other piece I want to talk about on that, but like you hear all the time is like, you know, you know, the dad who's always working, right, and like misses his family time. It's like, and I'm like, yo, I feel like I'm like that dad, like, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, yo, my little brother is like scheduling time to have a conversation with me, or like my grandmother is saying like she really hasn't seen me in mad long, and time flies, you know, time flies when you really get into it. So it's like, damn, yeah, you're right. I have missed a lot of shit. And I think a lot of people, to your point, right? Like, if you're on the fence, and I don't even know the right answer to it, right? Because again, I got here because I was missing a lot of that shit. But at the same time, I'm at the point now where it's kind of like, I wish I didn't.
You did what you didn't.
Yeah. I think it's like, to your point, to kind of wrap this up, it's gonna play out the way it's supposed to play out.
Yeah.
And I think definitely value those things that you're like doing it for now.
Yeah.
So for me, it's family, right? Like, at the core of it is family. It's the process, right? I love the process, but like right now I'm trying to figure out, and and I had a conversation with Shorty earlier today, like I'm trying to figure out this new way of life where it's like I'm not working on. Right now I'm just taking out 1, 2, and 1.5 projects, right? I pulled back like 3 projects. And now I'm trying to figure out like, what does this look like? Like, I chilled with my brother last night on Halloween. Like not even trying to do nothing crazy. It's like, yo, I'm here.
Just
you know what I mean? And
just
like,
enjoying.
Yo, yeah. It's like, how do you now even like navigate that way? Because I was so checked out for 5 years.
Right.
Whereas like, yo, yeah, I'm trying to be like, this is how my mind works. My family, we got a Williams Wednesday every other day now, where I have to go eat dinner at the crib with the family.
That's
right?
tough.
Where like now I'm putting like reminders on my phone, like I gotta call my grandmother at this time and do this stuff, right? Because like this is the life I'm trying to live.
Yeah.
And it's different. But yeah, so just one other thing on the whole mental break thing, right? And I want to get your point on this too. What do you do for your mental health? Do you proactively do anything for that?
I tell you, so this right here is mentally stimulating for me, bro.
Okay.
This is why, people have come to me like, yo, you should really try to monetize the Black Idea Guy podcast. That's a great idea. You should do this. I'm like, yo, bro, like, I'm not thinking about it all day right now. I just want to have great conversation. I want to bring my friends on, people that I like, and my friends just so happen to be dynamic individuals, other Black Idea guys, right? And I just like talking because my Sunday to Saturday is so intense. Mm-hmm. It's that my Monday to Saturday is so intense that I feel like leading into the next week, if I do something on Sunday that stimulates me, that gives me some inspiration where I can like just not be so enclosed to my own thoughts. I can digest the perspectives. I can digest the wins, the losses, the ups and downs from someone else, and then share back and forth. That will fuel me going into the week, which is why I like taping on Sundays. Mm-hmm. Podcasting, makes me happy. I work out, right? I'm actively in the gym, like, and I wake up
you gym hard.
I gym hard, bro.
That's one thing I think. So I think that counts, right? That's a big part of it,
bro. I gym hard, and I also too, I like running distances.
Oh, okay.
I run, right? So running.
Do you run with music or no music?
I run to meditating music.
Okay.
Like chakra, like morning meditation, wake up. I run to waterfalls. I run to like fucking firewood burning in my ear. I run miles. Mm-hmm. And I just literally, like, people would think I'm blasting Pusha T. Nah, I'm literally running to stillness. Because one thing about running distances early in the morning is that, to me, it simulates what it feels like to be at the top, right? When you wake up 6 o'clock in the morning to go run 3.5 miles, mm-hmm. ain't nobody outside running, bro. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's dark still, like, it's like, that's what it feels. For me, it feels like, okay, like, you literally can tell yourself to stop and turn your ass home, turn around and walk home. Mm-hmm. Go back home. You don't got to do this. But like, what is telling you to keep going? Like, why are you still doing this? And I also feel like doing that early in the morning, that's the hardest part of my day. To wake up and run miles, like to get up out of your bed, it's warm, to go run in the cold and sweat and be tired and fatigued. But it's just like getting over these small hurdles that help me. So that's therapeutic. That gives